Well, it's April 18th, Tuesday, I believe, and we're tired. But I'll give you a little update to her. Oh, there's the old lathe that Hewlin gave me. It actually runs. That old motor, I need to brush it off, clean it up, and I need to probably paint it, but it's in good shape as far as the bearings go and stuff. And so I just need some tools for it, some cutting tools, but it'll work. It's just a basic lathe. But I think it'll hold I think it's got about a 24-inch clearance anyway, and 6-inch diameter-ish, maybe 7.5 or so radius. So I can do almost a 12-inch diameter bowl or whatever I want to do there. Most stuff would be a lot smaller. At any rate, there's my junk. We just threw everything back in here for now. I just got done laying the floor down. Table saw. There's my template board. It's got 3 holes in it. That's for the insulation project, which will be next. Some of my pipe, 1-inch and 2-inch. And these are the boards for the insulation inside the container. There's 3 little spacers glued onto each one of them. And we got the top and bottom marked. So we'll use the template board. There's my bandsaw, my planer. I got a mortising tool on the other side down on the ground. And other stuff. Anyway, this template, we got top and bottom of it marked. So we can hold it up to the container walls and put magic marker dots down there. Then I can drill pilot holes through the ribs, corrugations. And then from the outside, I just screw through those holes as she holds the board up there, and they should hit, you would think. At any rate, that's our floor. Now, you notice I got one pipe up in the middle of it. It's glued in place. I can splice onto it from there and go where I need to, but that's for the kitchen sink and eventually a dishwasher if I get it. Now under these steps, these are temporary. I got a 3-inch pipe under there with a clean out cap. You can probably see it right there. So that 3-inch pipe goes all the way across. These boards are glued down. Then I used old spline edge or ribbed edge, whatever you want to call the nails, galvanized, and they won't come out very easy. And so the 3-inch pipe comes out there. Now it's got a T right about there, and I've got a 2-inch pipe laying in it, and I've got, let me get down here. It's a big step. Okay, now I got 2x12 double floor joists going all the way across. So see, I can level the floor for the next year if I have any settling at all until everything gets stable, and just keep adding pilings down. Then once I get it to where it's stable, then I know, okay, that's probably the minimum number of pilings. And then I can put in concrete piers in the corners and stuff like this and double up on it. And it should be good for a long, long time. At any rate, but I got a 2-inch pipe laid into it right there. And I got a hole bored through that 12-inch joist, and the pipe comes on over. It's 10 foot long. But I've got enough gap there. I can lay down and work on it, and I can put a T in there for the washer, then a utility sink, and then there'll be a bathroom sink. That's right. And then the shower. Okay, so there's 4 T's that'll come in there. Well, the last one will be an elbow. But they'll feed into that 3-inch pipe. Technically, I could let it run out here if I wanted to for a little while, but I'll go ahead and tee it off and bury it with I'll put a 45 on there and put it down in the ground, bring it out. I got a long sweep. I got a 3 to 4 inch adapter first, then a long 4-inch sweep, and a clean out plug for a 4-inch pipe. And then I got 2 10-foot long, or 3 10-foot long 4-inch pipes, and that'll go all the way over to the pit and stop, and then it can just drain off into the pit. and I'll probably just let it drain on the surface for a little while, and eventually when that pit gets stable and stuff like this, then I'll put a barrel down there, whatever, some gravel in it, and make a little capture point, and have the pipe drain into the barrel underground and bury it all, and then it'll be fine. But for now, since it's gray water, keep in mind gray water don't need treatment, and you just can't spray it in the air. So it'll drain down into my little tree pit. That slump down area over there is 20-something feet deep. I don't know how far wide it is, but it's about everything you can see there, whatever, just about is the pit. And it's full of trees. Lots and lots of trees. He snapped them off, fit them to size, laid them in there, all lined up, and packed them all down with that track hoe. Then they covered it up with some clay. And I need to take that clay hill and somehow or another get it moved over there and smooth it all out and stuff like that. But it'll still percolate down through there real good. So anyway, so this is what I got. I got the floor, and I've got a 2x6 bolted to that I-beam, or it's actually a C-channel. But 2x6 bolted to that. Then I got a 2x8 bolted and nailed to that 2x6. I got lots of bolts in there. Then I got probably about 40 nails. So it's on there. And I got close enough to where the floor, the top edge, this part, let's see if you can see my hand. This part right here is the level of the floor inside the container. And the difference between that and this is less than a 1/16 of an inch. Most of it you can just call it flush. So I think I did pretty good getting the height right. And checking this out here, like I said in the email, right now everything is within about a 1/2 inch range. Might be up and down a quarter at the most, but most of it's just pretty much right on the money. But I've got access to all the lift points because there's a double 2x12 beam going all the way across, and in the middle 2x12 beam double going all the way across, and then the container is my reference point. Now that end of the container versus the front end of the container, the front end went down about 1.75 inches, and you can tell because that bottom brick, that should be 3 bricks high. That bottom brick is in the dirt, and it's just about, well, it's 4 inches high, so that's over about 3 inches deep. But at any rate, so, and that cable phone box got put in yesterday, and you run a ground rod right down there, tied it all in. That goes in the inside, and that's done deal. And what's cool is when I do eventually add on the front addition, it'll stop 4 feet from the front, which is about right in here. So this will actually be outside the house, and the front wall will be about right there. So it's going to work out really nice. I think that's good. And that cable runs under the container, the opposite corner, and then back across the tree line. I'll show you. This is better. I'll just show you. So me and the guy, we fished the line up under the container. It wasn't a big deal at all because this end's open, so it just runs up under there, and then we fish it up under the floor. And where those 2 stakes are is where the cable goes across, so that I don't forget about it. And he goes out that way to the left of that stump there, and then he goes on the far side of those trees, and they got a little corner over there with a little pet cemetery. One of Hewlin's daughters, little puppy dogs or whatever, died, so they buried it over there. And I don't know, there's a little cross over there somewhere. Anyway, and then there's a little path that they had 4 wheels going back and forth between Danny's place and Hewlin's because they were moving dirt and stuff like that when Danny was first here. So that path, we're just going to leave it there. And so the cable runs all the way down to the street right there. That might be a wisteria bush as far as I know. Might not, but I think it is. Then it comes along this side of the road over to that telephone pole, if you can see it. And then it goes up, and they strung it over the road down to the box on the other side. So we're in good shape as far as graders not being able to get to it anymore, because he came off the road quite a ways, so the grader should not hit it. But I could hit it with a shovel, so I got to be careful. Okay, any rate, but if you see, when this side was settling back here where it was softer, I put in 2 sets of blocks up there, and they have not moved at all, which is nice. And I've got a plumb bob here I've had here for about 2 weeks, and just to see if the trailer's tilting any. And I don't know if you can see that string up through there or not, but that string, I would call that fairly well plumb. And that plumb bob is not touching the container. It is 1/8 of an inch off, because it's swaying back and forth in the breeze. And if you look at it straight here, it's straight as well. It's straight up and down. So I can tell if the container's leaning any, and it is not. So, I'll just walk around this side. We're going to paint this side. I had a couple rough spots, and I had a little bit of paint left over, so I splashed it on there on a few spots. But we'll get all of it painted eventually. Now I got to dig. The water line's going to come down through here, come down through that ditch, and then follow it out to the, or go straight out, I believe. And we'll see where we can put it when they eventually get here and give me some water, which is due. But I sent them an email yesterday just saying what's up, and we'll see what they say. So we've been doing okay, and got rained out a few days ago, had some hellacious winds and hail. We had hail, just about pea-sized, maybe very small marbles, but pea-sized. I was able to pick up a few and throw them in Angela's hands or whatever, so she could say she had hail in her hands or whatever. But on these tin roofs, it does make a racket. You can't talk, have any kind of conversation when that hail's hitting the roof. Okay, so right now I got a little bolt cleaned up. Oh, see, I got my jack in place. I was going to lift it this morning, but it still ain't dried out enough. As you can probably tell if you look at those boards, it pushed it right down, the boards right down to the ground, even though they're fairly long boards. I figured I'd give it some support. But if it pushes it down like that, I said I'm going to let it dry a little bit further and get a little harder where I can lift the container. And then I can I'll put a couple of 18 by 18 sets of blocks up here instead of the single set of blocks there. See, that's a 8 by 18, but, or is the 4/8-16? I think it's 4/8-16. So there'll be 16 by 16 blocks, and I'll put in a double set here just like I got in the back, and then we'll continue to monitor those and see if they settle any at all. Like I said in the email, probably about twice a month I'll record it, and you can see I wrote my first ugly note right there. It says 418, 21 7/8 before leveling. So once after I level it, I'll get a new reading there. And the other end's about 22.5. So this right here, you can tell is down about, well, 5/8 of an inch at that point. So we'll get her leveled out, and then we'll start keeping track of it. And once the foundation's fairly stable, I'll continue to frame and stuff like that, but I'll keep track of it because I can re-level anything even after I framed it all. And so once it gets to where it doesn't move for a month or two, then I can put in my concrete piers and know that they're about the right height, and then I can probably, check it once every 6 months or something like that, and then back off as it becomes more stable. But up until I build this front addition, I'll be able to get to any of the corners. I'll be able to get to the center of the trailer or the container, and I can get to that center section right there, that pier. Once I get the front end, this needs to be stable because that front pier right there will be very difficult to get to. You're not going to crawl under there. At least I'm not going to. I'm not saying you can't, but it's pretty tight. So there ain't no reason to. But from the other side, working on the 2-inch pipes from the edge, the pipes are about 6 inches in or so. So I can work under there just fine and lay my drainage pipes down, whatever. The water pipes coming in, they'll come through that edge 2x8 and then come straight up through the floor, and then that's the only thing I have to deal with down low. The rest of it's going to be up high, coming over the ceiling and stuff, and that'll all be that PEX flex tubing and stuff, so it'll be easy to run. And I only have to run water toward that back wall and the kitchen sink. That's the only places that need water outside of the outside faucets. Okay, I think I've kept you guys long enough. This is kind of where we're at. And like I said, it's Tuesday, April 18th. And we'll see y'all later.